Hi guys, welcome to the show. So, usually I'm talking about the duality that I believe exists in the world and within ourselves. So I started to discover that when I use my left hand. I feel like much more introverted. Like I always say that because that is how I started to notice most things have a duality. It's a weird way to figure that out, but you know, I wanted to be ambidextrous. So I just began using my left hand a lot. And I did it for a bunch of years. After I stopped, I went back to my right hand, and I noticed I just feel very outgoing and talkative, and it's so weird. I can call anybody I want and just say like, hey, how's it going? And just have a great conversation with them. That's one thing that that's a big thing that I noticed when I switched back to being right-handed, was that, my goodness, I just laughed to myself. I said, it is so easy for me to have a conversation with somebody. I was actually very mad when I discovered that. Because I was like, dude, I've been using my left hand for a long time. And the day that I decided to switch back to using my right hand, I just like feel so open. I can go to the store. And it's not like you want to talk a lot. It's just that, like what I feel is it's like you're real smooth. Just, you don't have any social anxiety. So, but my topic that I wanted to talk about today, but don't worry, I'm going to always be talking about this left hand, right hand duality feeling that I experienced from becoming ambidextrous. So I just think maybe I'll just tell you guys, because it's also asking the question, how do you feel? You know what, I also want to say thank you to a couple of people that have came and left comments about how they feel, like if they're left-handed or, you know, ambidextrous. Do they experience any of the introverted feelings that I do when I use my left hand? So thank you for leaving me your comments, because, you know, I'm just like trying to figure this out. Like, is it just me? So I do talk about this duality in my feelings when I use either hand, but besides that, in my book, I put a lot of other dualities. Today's duality I want to talk about is morality. The duality of morality. So in morality, you know, we have a balance as well. I'll draw that scale. We have a balance here. Okay, that's morality. And there is this duality down the center. Okay, and the duality is good and bad. You know, good, bad. There's also right, not like right-handed, but like what's considered correct, right, and wrong. You know, so we have good and bad. You know, that exists. You and your parents, when you're growing up, your parents are going to tell you, don't do that, it's bad. Or good job, keep doing that. So those are the complete opposite. So I was talking to somebody yesterday, and I was talking about this. It's like my favorite subject. And I told them, hey, you know, like opposites, they're not just opposites. They're like inversions of them, of themselves. You know, it's like, okay, I could explain this like saying the truth and a lie. Like, wouldn't we say that a lie is an inversion of the truth? Then I also said like a man and a woman. A man and a woman. And they're like inversions. Because, you know, like, a man, even the sexual organs of a man, they're more exterior. You know, it's like the happy face. Because the happy face is what? You know, opposite. Happy, sad. Those are opposites when it comes to this expression. See, up, down, or whatever you want. They're just opposites. So the same thing with a man and a woman. Because a man is like that, exterior, with the sexual organs, and the woman is like that. So, you know, they fit together like a duality. Everything's like a duality. That's what I explain in my book. So, you know, I started off talking about the way that I feel. That's what, like, it's so crazy. That's what led me to start seeing this duality in everything. I was like, is there a duality in, like, an opposite in everything? Because I just noticed that in myself. But then I think the sun and the moon is the first thing that I said, hey, that's like opposite too. And I started looking around, and then I went further. I started studying stuff. Like I also explained atoms, because atoms have what? The negative and the positive charge, which are opposites. So I think that this environment and also even our mentality, it works in this balance. And so this is talking about morality, you know, good versus bad, right and wrong. So, okay, yeah, here's another one that I wanted to talk about. Because in my book, I talk about proof of God. I think, well, I truly believe God is real. There is a God. That He designed this whole world, and He put it on a scale. Because, like, you know, I'm like everybody. Everybody's here. We don't know how we got here. Well, our parents, you know, were born. But ultimately, like, you know, we don't know where we're like clueless about a lot of things. So am I. That's why I make these videos, because I like talking to people. I want to know what they feel. And I want to communicate. That's the best thing to do. So, as I said, I believe there's a God. God created everything. Because, okay, look. So that's going into morality and the duality of morality. Okay? So, further talking about God, why I believe there's a God, is because, like I said, everything is like on this duality, and this duality creates a scale. So, the scale is, as I mentioned, it's like everything goes together. And it creates this balance. Like, you know, like when we're born, we get 23 chromosomes from our father, and 23 chromosomes from our mother. So we're literally half our father, half our mother. That's why we have 46 chromosomes. So of course that's to do with the DNA. And as I explained also in another video, did I? No, I haven't. I need to make that video. It's DNA. Because DNA is when you look at DNA, it's a double helix. It's just two strands of code. With a base, these base, I forgot what they're called, base pairs? Well, the two sides that hold it together. They're opposites. These two strands, one is going that way, and the other strand is going that way. Because what DNA is two strands. It's two strands of code that come together like a yin and a yang to form one whole. If you study DNA, you'll see that. So I just think like, wow, everything has an opposite. Even the structure of DNA. It's more like one code's going that way and the other code's going that way. But they're still going to come together and form this balance, this relationship that needs to be there. There always has to be this two, like pairs. Everything's in pairs. Like your shoes, right? Your shoes come in pairs. You have a lot of organs in your body that are in pairs, like your lungs, your kidneys, well, the hemispheres of your brain. You could even say like your eyeballs. Well, you know, they're just your eyeballs, but still, they're in pairs. Your ears are in pairs, your nostrils. Look at yourself. You have two of everything. So that's a duality. And it's also inversion because, you know, they're not the same. They're the opposites. They're the inversions of themselves. So I was talking about God, And so you get 23 chromosomes from both, and it creates this balance. So I believe God created this balance, just like how the sun and the moon. So like when we're in school, we're taught about like evolution and Big Bang. I don't believe in those things. Big Bang, it cannot be true. You know, like, okay, an explosion, boom, blows up, and out comes a cat. That's a cat. Or a dog, out comes a dog. Alright? That's not going to happen. Or a human being, from nothing, from an explosion. I know it's kind of like them just trying to explain something, but at the same time, it's like, don't explain it like it's for sure. That's what I don't like. It's like, there's no, it's like, this theory that is like absurd is like stamped in stone. My dog is walking around. So, speaking of dogs, my dog right there, I think you heard me talk about him. But I don't believe in Big Bang because there is no order. We live in order. You know, we've seen history for I don't know how many years. Alright? And as I mentioned, all animals are bilateral. We have two sides. We're bilateral. We have two sides. 99% of all animals are bilateral. Like I said, everything has a duality structure. That's why everything is almost bilateral. So, that's because of DNA. As I mentioned, DNA has two sides, and it codes for both sides. That's why they're opposites. So, everything has a duality because of DNA. So, if you look at all history, you're never going to see, for example, even zoology wouldn't exist because animals would keep changing and morphing. But we never see an animal with like 3 eyes or 3 noses, 3 arms. It's always 2. How come there's not an animal that has 1 eye, 1 nostril, 1 arm, 1 leg? Why? Because, you know, well, there's snakes, but snakes have 2 eyes. Snakes have a duality as well. But no, it's not part of the structure. So that's why I call my book The Doorway to the Mind of God too, because it helps you understand that there is a structure to this world. There is a God. So there's like a man and a woman, as I mentioned. And you need a man and a woman to keep the cycle going. You know, because of their reproductive, complementary reproductive organs. You know, as I mentioned, a man's organ goes out and a woman's organ goes in. They have a design, see? And they form a complementary. You know, and the woman, it's opposite. The woman carries the baby and the man doesn't have to carry a baby. So that's why the man has to go to work, and they say. And then a woman has to stay home and be with the baby. Right? It's like a duality. So it forms a structure. But I could also say like the seasons. The seasons, they keep changing. Oh, well, they don't keep changing. They just keep like rotating. The seasons rotate. You know, you have winter, spring, summer, fall, back to winter. It's a circle. Why is it a circle? Because the sun and moon, so like let's say this earth, the sun and the moon, well, I won't put it so close, I'll just put it. Who knows? They keep on balancing us. Like even the seasons affect us. You know, in the winter you feel like, oh, maybe, I don't know, you could feel excited or you could feel depressed. It's winter time, stay home and all the flowers are dying, the trees, the leaves are falling. And in the spring, it's opposite. It's like, yay, let's go outside and be springtime people. So, see, you could even see the duality with that. It seems like winter and fall are on this side, and spring and summer on the sunny days. You know what I mean? Even the weather has a duality. And then, as I mentioned, I believe there's a God because the sun and the moon, they never stop rotating. They don't. And like they don't change. Like another planet doesn't come here and that one takes a break. No. Since the beginning of history, obviously, the sun and the moon have been here. Obviously, since the beginning of history, the sun and the moon have been here. And those set the stage for us, people, to do whatever we're doing. Gravity has stayed the same. You know, gravity hasn't changed. We would be floating or something if like Big Bang and all this stuff that says that nothing is for certain, like things just happen out of happenstance. We wouldn't even have science. We would not have science, because if everything was moving around and shifting, animals were morphing, how could we keep track of anything? Like an equation. How would we be able to make an equation? That would be impossible, because nothing would be equal, or nothing would be like able to be equal. Like 1 plus 1 wouldn't always be 2. Maybe, you know, like 1,000 years from now or something, 1 plus 1 would equal 2.3. You know how much that would screw everything up? Everything. It would throw everything out of alignment, out of balance. Everything is stuck the way it is. We come for moments of our lives, then we're gone. Our lives are temporary, but death is forever. So that's like an inversion. I believe there's a God. God made everything, and it's to be balanced. And other, you know, I like to express my faith. It's my my right. But at the same time, you know, I don't do it to argue with people or be mean or anything. I accept what they tell me too. Like I said, I like talking to people. And I think peace and being friends and respecting people is the most beautiful thing there is. So I always try to be respectful to people. I let them talk to me. I talk to them too. So, yeah, guys. Today we talked about duality, duality, duality. In the, you know, the sun and moon, the structure, the seasons, and I talked about God. I believe that God put everything here as a balance, which it seems to be balanced. So what I always say to people is, try to keep your balances charged. Don't get too mad. Don't get too mad. That's hard to do sometimes, but I just learned that, like, it's impractical to be mad. You know, I don't want to fight anybody. I don't want to do anything like that. I just want to wish you a good day. But, alright guys, I'm going to do another video soon. Stay tuned.